What's up guys, Brad here, and today I'm going to be reviewing 22 cards from Knights of the Frozen Throne, and I have a little review that's going to be up in the upper left hand corner, as you can see over here, that these are how I'm going to base the cards off of. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the classes that have only had one card release and then move on to the rest of them, then go on to the neutral cards. So we will jump right into it by starting off with the Druid Legendary Hydronics. So it's a 9 mana 3/7 Death Rattle. Summon your taunt minions that have died this game, and it's also a beast. Now, short and sweet, I don't think this card's going to be really that great, but the fact of it is that I think that they had a missed opportunity and by giving Hydronics taunt itself, because right now with the stat line, it's pretty weak. And at 9 mana, you can't really do anything else with the card. There's no other cards you can really play to even buff it or play something with it. Now, the reason I also don't think this is going to see much play is due to the fact that I'm not sure how Ancient of War is going to work really too well with it, as it's the most unique when it has its choose one effect. The minion itself has 10 health, but it's like a buff. So if you silence it, it goes down to 5. Which means if you resurrect the card, it is a 5/5. So in my thought is this is how it's going to work. When this dies and it resurrects an Ancient of War, it's just going to be a 5/5 on the board. It's not going to have a 5/10 body. It's not going to have taunt. And because it doesn't have taunt, does that mean that it's still resurrected? So it's kind of confusing in that part. Now I can see this card being played just for fun, but I think after about 2 weeks, this card's never going to be seen play. It's just going to be bad. So, sad as I am to say, another legendary that is just bad. So, anyways, we'll go on to the next one, which is the Paladin card, a 4-mana 3/2 Chillblade Champion. It has charge and lifesteal, and I actually think this card is, the more I've thought about it, I think it's not too bad. Due to the fact that you could, when you hand buff, it gets stronger and stronger. Even if you get just one hand buff on it, it becomes a 4/3, which is a Korkan Elite with an upside of healing yourself. Plus, due to the fact that a hand buff Paladin is actually pretty cheap to build, and this is also common, so I think for you budget players, you want to play a Paladin deck that's not bad with climbing the ladder. I think this is a card you'll be crafting along with the other hand buff cards too. Originally I wasn't going to think it was going to be played too much, but I actually think the card's great. I don't think it's meta defining, but I think it'll be played in a few Paladin decks, especially, as I said, the hand buffing one. So let's go to the Priest card, Spirit Lash, a 2-mana card with lifesteal as a spell, and it deals 1 damage to all minions. I think this card is phenomenal, because the only way you could do 1 damage to an entire board before this was, the quickest way I should say, was with Wild Pyromancer and like Power Word Shield. And that's not really the most efficient way. Then you're making your Wild Pyromancer weaker. I mean, it's a 3/3, but still, this card just trounces that effect by making it a little quicker to deal a area of effect for Priest. As before that, I mean, all of their area effects were very expensive with Dragonfire Potion and Holy Nova, even Arcanite, Soul Priest, and Circle of Healing. You have to wait till turn 4 to do it. So I think this card is actually going to see a lot of play. I love it. You're healing yourself still. If you have Blood Mage Thanos on the board, I mean, you're killing the Blood Mage Thanos, but at least you're still getting card draw, and you're dealing 2 damage to the entire board too. I'm going to go out and just say I think this card's going to be meta defining for a Priest. I think that with this added to their arsenal, Priest is not going to be something you want to mess around with. I think it's going to be quite annoying for the aggressive decks. I think, I mean, this is the only card that's been released, but I could just see, even with the current list, it being so strong. I mean, if you even think about it, this damages your own minions, heals yourself, and then you could play like Circle of Healing if you have Northstride Cleric down, and you could you know, get a ton of card draw also. There's endless opportunities. I think this card is it's going to be played around with a lot, and I think it's going to be seen in every priest deck. And lastly, for the one-offs for classes, we got Blood Queen Lanethel. A 5 mana 1/6 with lifesteal, and has +1 attack for each card that you've discarded this game. Now, this card is a little controversial, as a lot of people are saying, oh, it's not too bad. Some people think it's great, some people think it's horrible, and some people think Blizzard doesn't know what the hell they're doing because they're trying to discard Warlock, so, you know, they're pushing it so hard. And I'm a little in between, personally. I don't think the card's that bad. The people that are saying, oh, this card's horrible, I mean, for 5 mana, yes, 5 mana, 4/6, if you, like, let's just say if it becomes a 4/6, I mean, that's not a horrible body. And the fact that it has the upside of being able to heal your Warlock, because Warlock is missing lifesteal horribly, it needs some healing. It just needs it so bad, and that's the reason why Warlock is the worst class right now. I think the missed opportunity is that they gave it 6 health. I think if they made it 7 health and had the same effect, I think the card would be very good, and it'd be a great card, actually, to be honest. But realistically, I think this is going to be played in the discards Warlock, and to be honest, discard Warlock is not going to be anything unless their you know, Death Knight hero has some ridiculous ability with discard mechanics, which I'm sure it's going to, because they're pushing discards so hard. I just don't see this really being seen played except for in fun decks. So I do think it'll be kind of fun, because discard Warlock is kind of fun. But yeah, it's kind of a missed opportunity. Alright, so next up we have the most hyped card probably in Knights of the Frozen Throne, which is the Bear Shark. A 3 mana 4/3 beast, and it can't be targeted by spells or hero powers. I actually think this card is pretty great. The fact that it is a beast that actually contends with Animal Companion is awesome. I mean, Animal Companion has always been it's been in every hunter deck that has ever been built, because you get a 3 mana 4/4 with taunt, a 3 mana 4/2 with charge. You can get Leok, which is Leok, but even Leok's been a little better in recent times. But this is the first card that I actually feel like is pushing the issue for a 3-drop. I think it does quite well. The fact that it can't be killed with a Frostbolt, it has to be killed with a minion, is amazing. And on top of that, it just curves perfectly into Houndmaster, so it becomes a 6/5. And then you also have the 4/3 body with Houndmaster, which is it's just phenomenal. I'm actually quite excited for Hunter, to be honest, with these cards that they've released. I think that the Bear Shark, along with the other few cards that we've seen, is going to make Hunter quite interesting to play. Now, let's go on to the Hunter Legendary, which is Professor Putricide, a 4 mana 5/4. After you play a secret, put a random Hunter secret into the battlefield. When I first saw this card, I thought it was absolutely amazing. I was like, holy shit, this card's broken. And then I kind of let my hype settle down a little bit. Started thinking about it. It's a slower card. It's not like, you know, a mad scientist type of card, even though it has the same artwork, because from what I've learned, Mad Scientist artwork was based off of Professor Putricide, which is kind of neat. I know nothing about World of Warcraft, by the way, so just keep that in mind. I still think this card is a great card. Even though it's a little bit slower, it's going to be played mid-range and control hunters, in my opinion. The dream is obviously if you could turn 3 Cloaked Huntress, turn 4 Professor Putricide, and drop a whole bunch of secrets to then get your nice Christmas tree effect, kind of like the old Secret Paladin. But realistically, that's probably not going to happen very often. But I still think that this card is going to see play, because as we've seen, even in Paladin, secrets are quite powerful. I mean, look at Hydrologist, 2 mana 2/2. It has a decent body, so obviously it's not a bad thing. But then also on top of it, you get a secret, which one secret from Paladin is not the greatest. You're not going to run it in your deck, but at least Hunter secrets are very powerful. You could always play Freezing Trap, and you can always play Explosive Trap. Those are great secrets to play. And then if you even get Snipe, I mean, there's potential you can just wipe out a card from nowhere. I think I think this card is going to see play. It's not meta defining, even though I wish I could say it was, but I think the card's great. And then we go into Deathstalker Rocks IRA, which is the only Death Knight hero to have been released. It's a 6 mana card. It gives you 5 armor and has a battle cry of dealing 2 damage to all enemy minions. The battle cry is nice. The only problem is that you're playing this on 6 mana, and usually by that time the minions have a little more health than 2. I think it's an interesting battle cry, but realistically I don't think it's going to... I think it's a little too slow for the battle cry effect, but the fact that it has this hero power, which is Build a Beast, where you can craft a custom Zombeast, is a very fun and cool effect. If Control Hunter becomes something, this card will be played in it, because I feel like once you start building the beast and stitching them together, as Brenbrode said, these cards are extremely powerful. You can get Stampeding Kodo with even Stone Tusk Boar. Anything with Stone Tusk Boar seems to be very powerful, because Stone Tusk Boar seems to be just a broken card. But it seems pretty awesome building a beast, but realistically I think this is only going to be played in fun decks, because I think it's just too slow. And if you're playing a 6 mana, on turn 6, if you're just playing this card, that's it, you're not doing anything else, I think you're most likely going to lose the game. So let's next move into the mage cards. We have Cold Wraith, a 3 mana 3/4 with a battle cry. If an enemy is frozen, draw a card. Now, I think the card's very good. It has a great stat line. This is what you want to see at 3 mana. And the fact that it has the battle cry of if there's a frozen minion, you can draw a card, is just a upside. But the fact that you can draw a card on top of having a great stat line makes this card almost meta defining, in my opinion. Now, Freeze Mage has always been at the top of the tier list, tier 1, tier 2 decks, but I feel like those decks are refined quite well right about now, and I could see this maybe making cut, and you could put 1, maybe 2 into your deck. But on turn 3, there's about 0% chance that there's going to be a frozen minion on the board, unless you start running Freezing Potion, which is that 0 mana card that could freeze an enemy minion. But yeah, I think it could be fun. It seems like a neat card. I'm just going to say it's a great card, because even if you don't get the battle cry effect off, it has the flexibility of just being a 3 mana 3/4 tempo play, along with also being a 3 mana 3/4 that draws you a card, which is awesome, because people are even running Novice Engineer sometimes in their decks, which is horrible stat wise, but they're just using it for their card draw. Next up, also for Mage, is the 4 mana Ghoulish Conjurer. It has 2/6 body and the battle cry: add a mirror image spell to your hand. I love this card, actually, I'll be honest. I think that this is just what Mage needed for their quest, because it gives you a strong body, along with the fact of still generating a spell that's not in your deck to your hand. And on top of that, Mirror Image is actually quite powerful against the aggressive decks that you always see on ladder. Pirate Warrior, this is extremely annoying to play against for because Mirror Image, they have their, they're always upgrading their weapons, making their weapons, like 7, having 7 attack and 3 durability. Well, they have to chop away at a 0/2 taunt with it. So it's a nice little stall for yourself, and I actually think Quest Mage will be very powerful. I almost want to go out on a limb and say I think Quest Mage is a super strong deck right now. Obviously, it's not as strong. It's not a tier 1 deck, but I think if they continue to print cards like this, it can be quite meta defining. But I'm just gonna go ahead and say it's a great card. I just realized I still have the Zombeast thing up. I am sorry about that, but so you're gonna see that for a little bit. But yeah, I think the card's great. It's just under, just didn't make it to meta defining, but I think it's gonna be a great card nonetheless. I think it's gonna see a lot of play. And finally, we'll go on to the Mage, a legendary Syndragosa, 8 mana 8/8 dragon with a battle cry of summoning 2 0/1 frozen champions. And just to let you know, those 0/1 champions just have a death rattle that says add a random legendary to your hand. I think this card is awesome for the fact that adding random legendaries to your hand is always fun. And dragons are cool, but the problem is this is such a slow play. The missed opportunity also, kind of like with the Druid legendary, is the fact that the 0/1 Frozen Champions do not have taunt. So your opponent can just ignore them. And then there's nothing you can really do. So then you're stuck with, you play this on turn 8, and turn 9 you're pinging a Frozen Champion to maybe get, a random legendary. And then also on top of that, to be honest, a lot of legendaries are not good. You're looking at cards like Millhouse Manastorm, King Mukla, or Walker Cho. These cards are not good. Obviously, there's always the possibility of drawing another Archmage Antonidas. You could get Tyrion off of it. There's numerous cards you can also get that are great, but I think in the long run, this card is not going to see any play. It is way too slow, even though it saddens me, but I think you will see this in fun decks for a little bit. And then it's going to be experimented, and then it's just going to go and become a bad card. Yeah, I just think it's going to be a bad card, to be honest, though. And I do want to tell you, now that we're talking about this, I know that there was a leak, supposedly, of the Death Knight Mage card, but I'm not going to talk about it because, one, it's not confirmed, and two, we don't even know the hero power, so I'm not going to go into those details. Anyways, let's move on to the warrior class cards. We have first up Bloodrazor. It's a 4-mana 2/2, and it's a Battlecry and Death Rattle of dealing 1 damage to all minions. So it has that nice whirlwind effect. And if you think about it, it basically is a Fiery War Axe for 4 mana, but as it's still doing 3 damage on each swing to whatever you decide to choose, like what minion you decide to hit. It's a worse Deathbite, but the fact is Deathbite was almost overpowered. But I think this card is awesome. I think it's going to be amazing. The more I think about it, the more pumped I am to play some, Enrage type, a Blood Warriors warrior, or I don't know. There's so many possibilities that are going on in my head because I just like the idea of this card. I love the flavor of it, and plus also, I'll be honest, I'm quite excited as somebody who plays Wild once in a blue moon to play a Patron Warrior with this card in their deck. I think it's. I don't think it's going to be better than Deathbite because you use Deathbite to clear minions a lot of times, but I still think that Deathbite be played. But I think you can maybe trade off 1 card for this to still get 2 more whirlwinds into your deck. I'm excited to play around with this. I'm also thinking the fact that Kriparian made a Disneyland Warrior, it was called, if you want to look that up. And it used a lot of whirlwind effects and enraged minions such as Gurubashi Berserker. And I think that you could see something like that being played with this card in it. And I mean, that card isn't too bad, and it's quite cheap too if you're a budget player. So I think the card's great. I think it's going to see a pretty good amount of play, but I don't think it's going to be meta defining. Next up is Mountain Fire Armor. 3 mana 4/3 Death Rattle. If it's your opponent's turn, game 6 armor. I like the flavor of this card. It is quite interesting. It basically it's a very aggressive stat line, but it can be an aggressive stat line due to the fact that there is a negative aspect to your opponent killing it. Do you really want to give your opponent 6 more armor by just killing off this 4/3, or do you want him to make maybe an efficient trade by training into one of your 4-drops maybe? I'm excited for this card also. I think Warrior has a lot of cards that they're unique. They have interesting card text. We haven't seen a card like this ever printed where your opponent's turn is where the Death Rattle comes into play, but if not, the Death Rattle does nothing. And I'm excited for them to maybe start playing around with more effects like this where it's like a card has an effect on your opponent's turn more so than on your own. Obviously, there is Tar Creeper, so I guess there is a similar card to it, but it's not a Death Rattle, so I still I can't say I'm 100% wrong. But I think it's a great card. I actually think this is another one, man. I'm telling you, I think it's on the line of being meta-defining, but I'm just going to stick with it. I'm going to say it's great. Yeah, I think it's going to be played mainly in control warriors, but it can even be played in a more aggressive warrior, too. Lastly, for warrior, we have Bring It On, another card that has quite pixely art. But it's a 2-mana spell, and it gain 10 armor, and you reduce the cost of your minions in your opponent's hand by 2. Very interesting card. Now, the idea of it is that most people are thinking about, you basically test your opponent. You have Brawl in your hand. You play Bring It On, plus, you know, maybe you play 2 Bring It Ons. You know, you play it twice. You get 20 armor. They drop their hand, then you brawl them and you wipe their board, and then they concede because you just destroyed their day. I love this card. I think it's awesome, man. I'm excited to play. I'm telling you, Warrior, man, they really made some cool cards for them. Of course, Pirate Warrior is still going to plague the world, but I'm hoping that this kind of stuff, because I don't feel like right now Warrior is fun to play. You don't feel good playing Pirate Warrior. You don't feel good playing against Pirate Warrior. You don't really feel good playing Taunt Warrior, and you don't feel good playing against Taunt Warrior. So I don't like where Warrior is right now, but I think that this has an option of playing a Control Warrior without the quest. So that is interesting in itself. I can't wait. I think it's another one, man. I'm telling you, it's right on the line of being meta defining. I'm so tough to say. I don't want to just be like meta defining for like every card, but man, this is a great card. I love it. I love this card. All right, so next up we have the Plague Scientist for Rogue. It's a 3-mana 2/3 with a combo effect of giving a friendly minion poisonous. I like the card. I think it's neat. I love the artwork of it. I love Poisonous as an effect because I like the fact that it's basically cheap removal for classes like Rogue, to be honest. I think Rogue needs kind of cards like this. But the fact of it is that it doesn't have that great of a body. It's hard to compete with like SI Agent. I like the card. I think it's going to be played and do well in Arena, but as in Constructed, I don't think this card's going to see any play. I don't even think there's really much to say with the card. Obviously, I mean, you could do something like where, playing it on curve sucks too. I mean, it's just a 2/3, so it's, you know, not even great as a 2-drop because 2/3s are kind of not looked at as great. Just, I don't know. I mean, the cool thing is that you can combo and give your like Swashbuckler or something or Patches poisonous, and then you know you kill something with a 1/1. But I realistically think it's just too slow. So I think the card's just bad. I don't think it's really going to see any play. And then next, we're going to go into the other Rogue card, which is the Liching Poison. 2-mana card, give your weapon lifesteal. I think it's neat. I think Rogue needs lifesteal. I like the idea of making their weapons a little more useful because weapons have been pretty bad, but the fact of it is that I don't think this card's good at all. Yes, there's the idea of playing Assassins, play Deadly Poison and Liching Poison, and then you have, you know, an amazing weapon for 4 turns that you can kill and heal yourself minions, and I don't think it's really going to see much play at all. I don't think it's going to see any play at all, to be honest, due to the fact that I feel like a lot of weapon removal is in the game. I feel like if you're not playing a class with weapons, you're playing Bloodtail Corsair, and that is to remove some of the weapon ticks, and plus with Patches because you want to thin out your deck. A lot of decks are playing that, and then on top of that, a lot of the controlled decks are playing Acidic Swamp Ooze, and you know, basically there's a lot of weapon removal in the game, and I feel like weapons are kind of in a weak spot right now, and this card is weak just due to the fact that weapons are in a weak spot. So I think the card's bad. If not, it's pretty close to being dusted, but I would say don't dust it because it's just a common card, so you only get 5 dusts. So yeah, it's a bad card. I don't see him being played much at all. I guarantee you this is probably one of those cards that ends up being absolutely meta-defining, and I am completely wrong on, because, yeah, that's just how it goes. Next up, we'll go into the Shaman card, the 5-mana 2/7 Fudo Hexer. It has Taunt, and it could freeze any character damaged by this minion. I like the card, to be honest. It's pretty awesome. I mean, the stat line is weak. I mean, it has a weak attack, but you're not really using it for the attack. You're using it more for the freeze. And it's a stall card. It helps. I mean, what you want it for is for against the aggressive decks, and a lot of the aggressive decks only have about 2 health, maybe sometimes 3, and this is going to take care of a lot of them. And I like it. I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's good. It's mediocre. I think it's going to be played in fun decks. And it's hard to judge some of these Shaman cards because of the first card that was released, and we'll go into that. As I said, I think it's going to be fun decks. But let's go to the next one and talk about Icebreaker. This is the first card that was released. It's a 3-mana 1/3. Destroy any frozen minion damaged by this. This basically says that Shaman is going to be getting a lot of freeze effects from this expansion. That's what it's kind of hinting at, in my opinion. And because the first card that they released after this card was Fudo Hexer, which freezes, minions, and basically freezes enemy minions. It helps out a lot, but I still think, I mean, this is pretty trash tier just looking at face value, but it's hard until this is one of those cards I'm gonna have to go back to. Once the entire expansion is released, then we can really give this a great review. But right now, it's just a bad card. Glacial Shard is one of the cards that people are thinking about because for 1-mana 2/1 freeze a minion plus Icebreaker. But the negative thing is that you're going to be taking a lot of face damage if you're going to be removing things. You're going to be removing large minions. You're not going to be wanting to do Icebreaker on a 2/3. And then, it just seems kind of pointless. I think it's pretty bad, if not dustable. But as I said, this is one of those cards you kind of can't even rate until we see every other card. Alright, so finally moving on to the neutral set, we have the Shallow Gravedigger, which is one of the first cards they revealed. It's a 3-mana 3/1 Death Rattle. Add a random Death Rattle minion to your hand. Card's got weak stats. 1 health is not good. Adding a random Death Rattle minion to your hand is cool, but the fact of it is that I feel like the card's a little too weak. I don't think it's going to see much play at all. I think it's pretty bad. Maybe in Wild you'll see some play with some weird Death Rattle Priest card or something. I see maybe Priest using this with their quest in Wild more so. Maybe in Standard you could play this, but yeah, I think the card's just bad. Not really much to say here. Pretty straightforward. And then we have now the infamous Ticking Abomination. 4-mana 5/6 Death Rattle. Deal 5 damage to your minions. This was the only card released on the 24th when we were supposed to get a bunch of cards. And it's quite disappointing and why people were pretty sad. Now, it has aggressive stat line, but the fact of it is dealing 5 damage to your minions is pretty rough. I don't even know what they could have done to make this card even more, a little more powerful. I think the downside of it is just so drastic. Silence Priest, Purify, and all the silence effects, and if you're playing this, you might as well, you're just going to be playing the 3-mana 4/8 that can't attack. It's just way better. I think the card's pretty trash. Even in Arena, I don't think it's great, which, sometimes a lot of the bad cards, sometimes you think in Arena, okay, it could be decent, but the card's pretty bad. I almost would even say it's a dusting card. But let's go to the next card. Nerubian Unraveler. 6-mana 5/5. And it has spells cost 2 more text, which is a pretty neat effect. Kind of like a mini Lotheb, but weaker. And I'm going to be honest, I like it. I like it a lot. I like the fact that I miss Lotheb. I wish they would have moved Lotheb into the classic set. I think that was just a card that defined almost Hearthstone in a way when it came out for Naxxramas. Everybody played it, loved it. It wasn't broken. It helped combat some decks and that were, you know, overpowered. It helped stall turns. It was just a great card. And then, you know, when it was gone, people kind of forgot about it. I just personally think that it's not doing enough. Only making it cost 2 more, and not only does it doesn't just affect your opponent, it affects yourself too. So you're making your own spells cost more. It's just not a good card. Got weak stats. I don't like it. The more I look, I like it, but I don't like it. I feel like it was a missed opportunity. I almost wish it was more of like a battle cry than a occurring effect over time. Basically, you can play this card, they can kill it with the minions on the board, and then they can play their spells like normal. So, I'm not a big fan of it. I think it's pretty... I'm going to be honest, I think it's so bad, I think you might as well dust it. Especially due to the fact that it's an epic. If you get the card, I don't think you're going to like it too much. I don't think it's going to be fit in anywhere. It's too slow. Just dust it, get your 100 dust. Maybe craft something a little bit better. Now we've got our 2 legendaries. The first up is Prince Keleseth. This card, it reminds me of Mistcaller from the Shaman class. I think it's a little better than Mistcaller, but I still think it's a bit weak. 2 mana 2/2 Battlecry. If your deck has no 2-cost cards, which includes spells, then all your minions in your deck get +1/+1. The problem is that 2 drops are so essential in Hearthstone. So a lot of people are theory crafting playing like Quest Hunter with Prince Keleseth. But the problem is that if you don't draw this card, then you don't get the effect from Prince Keleseth. So then you're stuck with 1 drops and 3 drops. Just not. I don't see it being played much at all. I like the idea. I think it's going to be fun to mess around with, but after about 2 weeks, I think nobody's going to play it, and I think you're just going to want to dust the card, to be honest. It's just sad to say. But then finally, the final legendary neutral, we have Prince Kaldurahm. 3 mana 3/3 with a battle cry. If your deck has no 3-cost cards, transform it into a 3/3 copy of a minion. I guess it's more like a faceless manipulator effect, so it's a card that's on the board. I think it's neat. I think that there's opportunities for it. I just think that if you're gonna play something like this, you play faceless manipulator where you can get the full body, because a lot of times, yes, there are cards with death rattles that have awesome effects such as Tyrion, but you can't even play this in Tyrion in the same turn, so you might as well just play Tyrion and then Faceless Manipulator it. I just think that Faceless Manipulator is a better card. I think it has a lot more potential than Prince Keleseth, but I still think it's a bad card. And I'm not going to say dust it, because I'm sure that there's going to be some niche decks that will make this work. I think in Wild you can make it work the best with Malagos, like a Malagos Druid, basically, is what I'm thinking. You could do like the Aviana Kun, Malagos, Prince Kaldurahm. I don't know. That's such a freaking cluster of a combo. But I could see the Wild being played a little bit. I think the card's bad. I don't think it's worth dusting. But yeah, I'm gonna be interested to see if somebody comes up with a card. It's one of the cards that has potential, but just from me, I don't think there's much potential. Alright guys, so we got 2 new cards hot off the press for you guys that have just been released while I was making the video. And as you see here, the first card is Abominable Bowman. The 7 mana 6/7 Death Rattle, summon a random friendly beast that died this game. So right off the top of my head, my thought is this card's pretty bad. It has a weak body. It reminds me kind of Sea Reaver for Warrior, where it was a 7 mana 6/7, so it's a worse Boulder Fist Ogre. This one has a little more potential than Sea Reaver, though, as there is the chance of summoning, like, Savannah High Mane is a dream, or a large card like that. But I feel like more likely than not, you're going to be summoning a card like Jeweled Macaw, Fiery Bat, and maybe even a Crackling Razor Maw. You're more likely to find these like small minions because Hunter plays a lot of small minions. So yeah, as I said, I mean, this card's pretty boring. I'll be honest, I think you might as well just dust the card and get a Hunter Dust. It's not going to really see play at all, I can almost guarantee that. So. And finally, the newest card that was released is a 5-mana 5/3 Fate Spinner. It's a Druid card, and you choose a Death Rattle secretly. It's either deal 3 damage to all minions or give all minions +2/+2. When I first read this card, I was like, well, it doesn't really matter, which, you know, it's not really too secretive. It's either it has a, you know, a Death Rattle where it's going to clear the board, and most likely you're going to play the Death Rattle of dealing 3 damage to all minions if you don't have a board presence, or if you have a lot of board, you're going to give them +2/+2. Yeah, this is, I still think it's pretty much like that, but because it also buffs your opponent's minions if it dies, and you do the +2/+2, it makes the card a lot more interesting. It's probably the most interesting card next to the Warrior gaining 6 armor if it's killed on your opponent's turn. So I like the card, but realistically, I think it's going to be just a bad card. It has poor stat line. 3 health is horrible. You're looking at Frostbolt and Wrath being able to kill it. So it's a 2-mana card, basically wiping a board. But I could see where you might want to play the card for the area effect damage, as Druid doesn't have too great of area effects right now. Swipe isn't really doing much currently, and Starfall isn't bad. That's probably the best one right now, but this actually could even potentially be a little better than Starfall. So that's going to conclude the review for now for Knights of the Frozen Throne. Once there's another 20 or so cards released, I will do another one of these. My guess is that there might even be another review I do tomorrow, due to the fact that we're going to have a reveal stream by day 9 and somebody else. Around, I think it's like 11 o'clock or so, or 1 or something for me. So anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are below, and have a great one.